Thank you guys so much for being here. As you know, today we are going to be talking about team operations. I am not going to spend too much time diving in because that's what this whole live is about. So I have here Miss Allanté here that's going to be talking more about operations. As you know, or you may not know, I am Adriana with the Lazy Millennial. We are a technical writing company. More particular, we focus on operational processes. So even though we focus on operational processes, I am not an operations manager. So this is what I this is why I have Ms. Allanté here to dive in about operations, how that process looks. So you guys are in for a treat. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we're just going to be bouncing back and forth. And you have the floor.
I'm excited, girl. I'm excited for this. It's lit. Hey, y'all. Thank you, Audrey, for having me here, for sharing me with your audience. Hello, everyone tuning in, catching this live, catching this on the replay. I am Allanté Collier, founder of Streamline and Scale Company, a full-service operations management agency where we help our clients do one thing: famine-proof their business. And we're all about putting your business on autopilot so that you can go from being the solopreneur to being the CEO to being that time-rich CEO. So today we have some great things in store. I'm so freaking excited to get into team operations for corporate leaders and business owners specifically. So let's just dive right on in, girl. Let's just do it.
All right. So I cannot wait for you to take over this portion because, like, again, I could, but I don't. And I say that all the time. I know what to do, but I don't want to do. So before we dive in about the actual operations point, I want to touch on who do we need? Like, how does this look like? So before you can hire, before we go all this, like, before we go on this whole whirlwind of like adding people to our team, to our business, we need to figure out who exactly do we need. And in order for us to figure out who we need to first clarify the actual jobs within our business. So this is where the STEN operating procedure documentation comes in. So before you hire, you need to figure out, of course, who you need. And a lot of times people like to start off with like, okay, yeah, we need SOPs, we need this, that, and the third. But we also, hey y'all, I forgot about the chat thing. Y'all, I'm on Restream, so y'all bear with me. Y'all bear with me as I try to figure out what I am doing on Restream. But anyway, so before you get started with hiring people, you need to figure out, of course, I say operating procedure and stuff, but you need to figure out exactly what am I actually trying to do. So like, let's say, I always say marketing. That's the first thing people always like want to hire. Like, we need to find somebody for marketing. First, if you want to hire for someone for marketing, you need to figure out the actual like task you need these people to do. Like, okay, yes, people specialize in marketing, but there are so many types of marketing. You need to figure out like, okay, I need this person for this. What exactly do I want? And what is the transformation I want them to do? What do I want them to provide for me? So you need to figure out that stuff first. And in order to figure out that stuff, you need to write this stuff down. So of course we got to keep things inside our head, but we got to write this stuff down, write it out. How's this look like? So we tend to hire contractors. I know for me, like small business owners, we tend to hire contractors. I hire contractors right now. But you need to also think about it from like an employee standpoint. So if I have an employee, you need to have all this stuff for them so they know exactly what they're doing. And when you don't have this stuff written down or figured out, when you're hiring people, it's just going to become a headache. So that's the first thing. That's one thing I want to say. So before you hire, you figure out like the job description, what exactly you want them to do, and the transformation you want them to have. I want to go ahead and pass it on to her for the operation. How does that look like? So I am going to pass on her the next stop. How does operations look like? What exactly entails? Like, what is operations? And give us all the goodies.
Oh my God, you did such a great job explaining, number one, what kind of people we need, or how do we figure out who do we need to have on board for operations when it comes to team management. And I look at operations, I'm such what is it called? Creative / logistics person. So I look at operations as like the art of running a business. And I categorize operations into two different kind of sections. You have the first part, which is the front end operations. And this is how you generate demand. Once you're in demand in the marketplace, then cool, you have the clients, you have the cash flow. But then oftentimes we don't think of the other side of that. How do you now manage that demand, the back end operations? What does that look like? And in both parts, whether it's generating demand and managing demand, right, you get to a certain point in time where eventually the business owner, the solopreneur, you're going to be the bottleneck of your business. You can't do everything by yourself. You're going to get to a point where what I mean by bottleneck is it's going to start costing you much more to do everything by yourself and running your business than it is to outsource and hire and delegate. So, operations from a full kind of high level overview is the art of running your business day to day on the front end and on the back end. And so when we look at operations and what exactly it entails your processes, like Miss Audrey said, it entails of how do you do something. A process, all it is just your signature step-by-step method to accomplish a specific task. And the thing about a process is it is proven, it is tested, it is tried and true. And so once you have that solidified process in place, cool. Now we need to put this into a system. What is a system? A system includes the process, but it also includes the input that you need to have this output. For example, the simple act, I grew up old school. I don't know if y'all grew up old school, but growing up, going to my grandma's house during the summer, we were told, of course, chores, washing dishes. We had a dishwasher right there. We were not allowed to touch it. Every-
Right.
I don't know if y'all can relate, but everything was done manually. And the art of washing dishes, that is a system. The process is you fill a tub with some soap and water, you let the dirty dishes sink, dirty dishes what is it, dirty dishes soak, not sink, soak in the sink, and then you wash them, you lather them, you rinse them, you put them on the dryer's rack, or you let them dry. That alone is a process. The system includes the process we just spoke about, but you need the input, you need the water, you need the soap, right? You need the bin to put your dishes in, right? You need the cold water to rinse, or the hot water to rinse. You need a drying rack, you need a drying towel. All of that is the system. So when you look at operations, just kind of putting a visual perspective together, when you look at operations, it includes the process, it includes the system, and any other automation tools or support that you need to get this bad boy going. So when we relate this as operations to our businesses on the front end, on the back end, there's different things that's needed. When we look at the team aspect, right? How are you generating demand right now? How are you taking a cold lead into your pipeline? What's the first step that you do to nurture them? Make sure that they're educated on the problem they have or don't know that they have. And then what is that next step to convert this cold lead into a happy patient? When you had, okay, this is your process. Now, when you're ready to grow scale, actually you can't do all of the steps. You can't take the lead and nurture them all day and have conversations and calls, and do push out content, and then fulfill on your client projects, and then do admin tasks, and then go out there and network. Like, there's so much to that. So you just simply break it down. And again, I break it down in two different ways. How are you generating demand? What is your process to generate demand? What is your system? Now, what kind of support? I don't look at operations, and it looks like my connectivity is low. So if you guys see me going in and out, please forgive me for that. But when you look at operations, there's no cookie cutter way of doing that, because my first hire or my next hire isn't going to be Audrey's first or next hire. Every business is different. Everyone's client and community is different. But when you start looking at what you're currently doing, your current processes, and seeing where you're currently dropping the ball at, it's going to naturally open up what your first hire is going to be. So when you look at generating demand, maybe one day you're getting so busy in fulfilling your client projects that you drop the ball on pushing out content or being visible on a regular basis. Or maybe you're dropping the ball in those conversations that you're having on social media. And so conversations may be left behind. You may forget to respond. We get distracted, so many different things. Now let's look into who can help me stay visible on social media. Who is someone who can help me handle these conversations and put them into book, right? That's the front end side of operations. The back end side is the same process. Where are you dropping the ball at right now? Where is most of your time? When you look at where your time is going and whether these tasks are costing the business or making the business money, meaning you look at what your business is paying you per hour, and now you see, okay, this task that I'm doing, this rinse repeatable and mind-numbing task of sitting, may not be the time. who is someone I can bring on board to help me send invoices and send proposals and send contracts and things like that. So long story short, that's what operations is. That's the art of operations. That's how it ties into team management. So hopefully you guys are able to get a better understanding of what it looks like for your business, for corporate leaders, and for those who have their own business as well.
Okay, that is awesome. So I forgot my question. So I'm gonna come back to that because I know I have something. I was
just going.
I'm gonna ask you but yeah, so thank you so much for clearing up what like the operational process looks like, how that entails, all that goes into it, because like you said, there's no cookie cutter information that you can really give unless you actually know the person. So if you guys have anything while we're sitting here live, make sure you put it in the chat, or if you're watching a replay, we will come back to it, and we'll also have our link so you guys can connect with her after this live. So catching the replay stuff, again, I'll put the link so you connect with her to learn more about operations, how it looks like for your business, and how she could possibly help you guys. So just to kind of like backtrack just slightly when it comes like the operational processes, of course, you know, I have to interject a little bit and talk about standard operating procedures and how that looks and how it looks for our day to day. So just again, really quick, for standard operating procedures and how that looks for your team. Of course, like we went over like how team operations actually looks like. I mentioned that you need to know the type of people that you need to hire, their descriptions and stuff. Next is actually setting the layout or the culture pretty much of the team and how you're going to manage them. And that is done through standard operating procedures. So well, like I mentioned, I have a technical writing company, and all that is just a fancy term of improving communication through whatever documented outlet that you use. So it can be video, it can be text, it can be whatever. So that's what we do. And then when it comes to standard operating procedures, this is why it's super important to make sure you actually know what you are trying to give or talk about to your team, where you're trying to give, like whatever goals and stuff that you are trying to reach. You need to make sure that is articulated through your documentation. And in order to do the standard operating procedures, again, this is going to look different because there's like, again, there's no cookie cutter. I can't say you need to do exactly this. It just totally depends on where you are in business, or if you are a corporate leader, you're managing a particular department, it's going to look slightly different. But overall, you need to make sure your goals and stuff are articulated well. And in order to do that, you need to make sure, again, you have proper documentation. And proper documentation is simply the same thing. Make sure you have things written out so someone else can follow, but also too being mindful of those with disabilities or learning disabilities. Doesn't matter what kind of disabilities. I say like all the time, I have ADHD. I have a very hard time focusing, and y'all can tell through like past videos, like I will sit there and do every which way or everything, but overall, making sure you have things communicated, and also being mindful of the type of people you want to hire. So like if you're saying you want to be inclusive, like if you want to be inclusive with your team, you need to make sure your documents and all that stuff articulate that, it's communicated that way. So making sure you have a mixed video, make sure you have captions on your videos. Little tweaks like that will help whenever you're doing standard operating procedures. But again, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because this is a whole nother live and video I can really dive into. So if you have any questions about that, I will also have my link in the comments, and you can book a call and I'll talk more about that, how that looks for you in your business or department, whatever. But I just want to interject that a little bit because I do not want to say this about team management, and I know y'all are here for team management, not SOPs. So I'm going to bring it back to her. So let's say that we already have a team. How, like, what do we do next? Like, how do we help manage these people? Like, how do I stay on top of these projects? Like, let us know the tea, because we need
Yes, I'll tell you about one of my clients right now. I just started managing her internal team, so I'll get into that. But I want to point out something that I don't want anyone here to miss. You touched on SOP creation in a way that I've never heard it before, and how to make it inclusive. Those little details that we tend to like adding to your video, right? Making sure that it, or the auditorial learner, the one who's visual, the one who likes written text, like making sure that your SOP appeals to every kind of person, disability or not, is so key. And that's how you not leave any money on the table, but also foster that team culture. So I thank you for highlighting that, y'all. If you don't know about SOPs or don't know how to make them inclusive, please go to the Lazy Millennial, y'all. She is like the GOAT in that aspect, okay? But
Okay,
I just had to give you your flowers, girl, because I'm like, I just love how passionate you are about all of this. But to answer your question about team management, so once you onboard this team member, now what is the next step? So some of the things that we do with our agency is whenever we're getting ready to bring someone on board or onboard them, the very first thing that we do is we have an onboarding presentation. And during this onboarding presentation, we're going through the company history. We're going through our core values, our mission, our vision, because before we go into what your day-to-day looks like, we want to make sure it's a culture fit. We want to make sure that everyone's in alignment of, number one, what we're here to do in the world, how we make an impact, and what we're heading towards, right? So we like to make sure we touch on that so that our team members know this is what we've done so far to date in this company since we've been operating, and this is what we're here to do, and here's how you can help us accomplish that. Once that's
Ooh, I
understood,
love that.
thank you. Once that's understood, I'm all about independency, and I'm all about, listen, once I onboard you, I don't need you interrupting me all day every day of how to do something. This is where SOPs, yes, they play a huge part. But one thing that we do is we put together these team management systems for our clients that includes your signature way of how you source clients, how you hire them, how you onboard them. And then the team management system is how you manage them. So some things that we have in place is that every single team member has their own individual team suite where it's like their one-stop shop that they can operate out of to get their job done. So in this team suite, we have SOPs listed. We have company tools and resources listed. We have every single week we have a team meeting, and after that team meeting we like to go ahead and put together what are your top 3 priorities or projects you're going to focus on this week. That's what's listed at the top of the team suite so that they know each week they're very intentional. By the end of the week, I need to get these 3 things done, and this is how I know that I'm doing everything I need to do to keep the needle moving in the business, right? So having that team suite allows for the team member to minimize any kind of distractions and interruptions they may normally have when they're onboarded with the business owner. And this could be also be the same thing if you're in the corporate space and you're a manager or you're in a leadership position and you're looking to bring on some team members, but you want to encourage some independency and encourage ownership of their role and responsibilities. We'll put together a little hub where everything they need is in one place. They have how to accomplish specific tasks. They know how to make sure they're doing what they need to do to run their day-to-day in their specific positions. They have their top 3 tasks listed for the week, or they know that there's some kind of metrics and accountability system that they have in place so that they know by the end of my workday or by the end of my work week, I need to have these things done, and then I'm good. I can have a great weekend, right? And last thing that we do is every single workday, we have our team members, they fill out a check-in form. So this lets us know what their priorities are for that day, the progress that they made, and if there's any roadblocks or any challenges that came up, any red flags we need to be aware of. So this way, throughout the week, we can go ahead and handle that. So by the time we have our team meetings, we talk about, okay, what went well, what didn't go so well, what can we improve on for the following week or for the following month, and eliminate any of that. Because as you're growing and scaling your business, it's the little things that we tend to overlook, the little red flags or the
Yep.
little roadblocks that we're like, oh, I'll handle that next week. Next week becomes next month, and then it blows up bigger than you would have ever expected. So it's best to handle that right then and there immediately. But those are some ways of how we manage the team once they're onboarded, once they're hired, and once they've gone through that whole process.
I love that, especially like giving them their own like the individ. I can't say the word right now. Individuality, giving them their own thing. I really, really love that. And I hope more people pay attention to that because I know I perform better even when I work at jobs and I had like my own thing to take care of. Especially I do like a lot of volunteer work and stuff. So like having my own thing, like oh you're in charge of this. I felt like more protective of it. I'm like, okay, this is mine. Like I need to make sure I do that. I do that. I do a good job because people are relying on me versus you just do this or like you do
Yeah.
that or you help this person do that and stuff. It's like, yeah, I do it, but it's just like there's no loyalty. And I'm already looking on Indeed during my lunch break. I'm just like, they don't care. Like, okay. But
Yeah.
overall, because I know you guys, okay, so I just have to say, because we're about to wrap this up, you guys definitely connect with Allanté because as y'all know, like that was amazing advice. Like I just have to say that again. I really love that advice. I don't hear that often, just like, oh, you should try this, that,
Yeah.
and the third, but the boring stuff outdated. So like I really love that you brought I really love that you brought that up. So I just want to highlight that.
Mhm.
Again, you guys, I will make sure our links are going to be put in the comments. They're not in the caption right now because I was out of space. So I'll put that in the comments. So you guys reach out to Allanté if you have anything concerning about operations, team management, all that good stuff. Please direct it to her. This is why I brought her here, because again, I do not do that stuff. I know it, but I don't do it. So this is why I brought somebody else that does do it, so you can contact them. So I just want to say that again. Also, thank you so much for coming on live with me and talking about team management or team operations. Like this, it's needed. So thank you so much for coming on about that. And of course, you guys, if you need anything related to documentation, standard operating procedures. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, my thing's kind of like thing. Like, does your team appreciate check-ins, or do they see that as micromanaging? Oh,
that's a great question. And in response to that, we have team check-in forms to eliminate any micromanagement. So I'm not the kind of person who's going to check in on my team all day, every day. Hey, how's it going? You have any questions? Anything that's happening up? Like, no, that's their opportunity, because in the entrepreneurship space as a business owner, I hire out like contractors as well. And contractors are their own independent entities as well. So they're essentially business owners in their own right. No one wants to be micromanaged, and I'm not micromanaging any adults or business owners. So that's their way to communicate to me, hey, instead of sending an email every day or every week or however often they're working and letting me know, here's what I worked on, here's my progress, and here's some things that you should be aware of, that's their chance to communicate that with me. That way, I don't have to micromanage, and that eliminates that as well. And these are not check-in forms, like depending on what their role is, these are not forms that they fill out every single day. It's every time they're accomplishing something for the business. If they're working over an hour, then there, of course, there's something to report within that hour. What did you do? What did you work on? Anything I should be aware of? If not, I'm just checking it off. And then let's just wait until our weekly team meetings to bring up anything that I need to know. So hopefully that answers your question, Gail.
I like that, because like it's important, because like sometimes I'll say, like, even for myself, it's just like if I'm stuck somewhere, like in the past, I'm just like, I don't know if I should bring this up, because I don't want people to think like I'm don't know what I'm doing or something. And having this space to be able to just talk and say anything is definitely, I love that you do that. So I was like, that's definitely something we all need to implement. We should implement that. I like that. I might need to have to add that in my own process. I didn't even think about something like that.
And I got that from working in corporate too, because as I was in project management for construction, so we are like owning our roles. It's like we are our own business owners. So we're adapted that from. So there is no one checking in on me, making sure I'm going to my job sites, making sure I'm my all materials are on me. And in order for me to hold myself accountable, I also need to communicate to my higher who I report to of, hey, here's something that I'm really struggling with that it could take me much longer to accomplish and take me away from the other tasks that I need to do. Here's something that you need to be aware of. And maybe you have a better solution that I'm not knowledgeable of. And I'm also an introvert too, so it kind of helps.
Team introverts, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So thank you for answering that. If you guys have any other questions, like while we're here, please do ask them, put them in the comments, or if not, and you're watching the replay, again, still leave a comment. I'll let her know, because I constantly check these things. I'll let her know if there's a comment. I'll have her reach out. And again, too, I will be putting our links now. So if you have a direct question, you can please utilize the chat, talk, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a quick moment. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. Let me pay attention to the chat too at the same time. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was helpful for you when it comes to management. Again, if you have any particular thing, because this is not one of those one and done type things. If you have anything you want us to clarify, please utilize the chat. Send us a DM on LinkedIn. Whatever's easiest for you, please reach out. But other than that, I don't think we have any.
I'm not interested. Everyone thinks that because of the work that we're in. But listen, outside of work,
yeah,
I'm in my bubble.
I feel that. But other than that, I think we're good. Thank you guys again for catching us live. If you're catching the replay, thank you guys for watching. And again, I will see y'all somewhere in cyberspace. So y'all have an amazing day.
Thank you, Queen, for having me. Y'all take care.
Of course.